Okay guys, I want to show you the Nexrad radar system working. It's not just for showing rain. You can see it intensify. And look at the outflow come off the storm. It was already coming, but look at it all intensify. Everything does. They can control these storms. They can create and control hurricanes as well with the same technology and steer it. I mean, you can see the waves of it working. Stand by. I want to show you hundreds of these working at one time, steering a Hurricane Matthew in 2016. Okay, this is National Weather Radar. This is high power Nexrad radar systems that actually help control the material the airplanes release in the sky. All those lines from horizon to horizon is not contrails. All these little spots out here are Nexrad radar systems at idle. This is where they're located. All this is going to be flashing as the hurricane's coming on shore, and if you zoom in, you can actually see it steering the eye of the storm. Not crazy. This is high-tech technology they are not sharing with us. Y'all know they do not share everything with us. I'm going to play the video now. You can see it even activating in this storm here and messing it up. They want to mellow out those fronts so they can bring the hurricane on board on land. It is truly incredible, the technology. You can see how they completely destroy a front. Let's slow it down a little bit. I slowed it down half speed. You can really see it working. Watch. They'll mellow out the fronts with the technology so it doesn't affect the hurricane. Look at that. This destroyed that cold front. Now watch, they'll use the same technology to steer the eye, just keeping it beating right along the shore. It wouldn't let it come to shore there. Now they want it to come ashore a little bit, and now they want to push it out a little bit. They can steer these storms. I'm not playing. They are not telling us the truth in any which way. That's the Hurricane Matthew right there from 2016. I could show you videos going back to early 2000s. Stand by. Okay guys, this is November of 1999. 23 years ago, 24 years ago, however you like to say it. This is their technology even way back then. I slowed it down so you could see it activating. Nexrad's been around a very, very long time. I thought it was showing my cursor, but I don't think it is. But these are really weird, these flashes out. I don't see them today, but I'm sure they hide that visibility. November 1999. You can see all the Nexrad, which they didn't have near the system they got today, but you can still see it activating. They used to call it daytime heating, but it never made sense because it would happen at night. They would also call it ground clutter, which didn't make sense. The ground didn't just all of a sudden appear. Look at that one in Southern California there. What was it doing? Some pretty crazy videos, guys. If y'all really look up the information, they're not hiding it anymore. They're going to come out with it like it's new, but it's not new technology at all. They've been doing it for a very long time. Now I'm going to show you some of the trails that the airplanes are leaving out. That's what is being controlled by the Nexrad radar system. They want to know, people want to know what it's about. You know, why are they spraying? Well, they're spraying a material that they can control. This is from Doug and Stacy off grid with Doug and Stacy. He's a farmer out Midwest. I'm a commercial fisherman. We are seeing the same technology. We are not crazy. Y'all need to wake up and stop calling people like us crazy.
Y'all,
we're paying attention.
This is not normal. Okay? And it's so in my face right now, I had to make a video about it. See this? This is not normal. The sun is trying to shine, and they are literally trying to block out the sun.
Look at the lines.
See all these lines?
This is how they put it out. These are US patents. You can look them up. They're not fake. You can look them up online if y'all do research. They have sprayers in the engines. It makes it look like it's chemtrails, but they're not. They're chemtrails. These planes are created for any kind of spraying. Fire, oil dispersants, chemtrails.
Mid-century clouds were seeded by numerous countries around the globe with various chemicals to produce rain. China was just doing this over the summer in Beijing to make sure that there weren't any rain, that there wasn't any rain during the Olympics.
They completely removed this video from the internet. Very important lady here.
With the U.S. military's secretive research and plans to control the planet's natural weather. This has not been given very much press, and we have to remember that we have a corporate-owned press where 85% of radio, television, and print media is owned by 5 corporations. So they're not going to talk about things that are of really serious consequence, and that's somewhat of the blessing, a mixed blessing of the internet, but there's certainly plenty of information on weather modification. The Air Force is on record as saying, quote, they want to control the weather by 2025, and we are not talking about just seeding the clouds for rain.
They have full control now.
Weather modification means, quote, any activity performed with the intention of producing artificial changes in the composition, behavior, or dynamics of the atmosphere, unquote. And as of April this year, there are more than 150 different weather modification programs around the world. Since about 2000, the Department of Defense and the Department of Energy have been spraying the entire United States sky with the toxic brew of chemicals and other biologic agents.
This was taken in 2013.
Let me show you an online website that generates automated.
Just want to show you something. We have 2 different kinds of trails in the sky right now. One are called contrails. How many of you know what contrails are? Contrails would have been around from the ends of planes since World War II. These are very, very short exhaust trails that usually evaporate within a few minutes. You just look up at the sky and you'll just see a jet, sometimes with 4 trails, but it evaporates pretty quickly. How many of you know what chemtrails are? Nobody. The military and some commercial planes are spraying us with what are called.
This came out the other day on Good Morning America or some shit, but these are distractions, people. This is garbage. This is fucking garbage.
Just before weather front is
This is all a distraction. They want to act like it's new technology.
Huge barrels of at least 49.
This is all a distraction, guys. They're acting like it's new technology. Look at this clown shit they put on these little fucking planes. Excuse my language, I'm angry. They have giant aircraft doing this with tons of material. These are just fake, put on for show. They must be laughing at us.
Different kinds of documented chemical poisons.
A joke.
Among other documented ingredients in this toxic.
Look what Doug was showing. Is that from these little planes? No.
Molds, fungi, weaponized viruses and made in some places like the secret site at Fort Detrick, Maryland, which is supposed to be a cancer site, but there are a number of...
Fort Detrick, Maryland came up recently with the virus that was released on the public. It's funny why that name just came up again. These are not good people.
Scholars and professors tracking this that have big questions about this. Barium and nanoaluminum particles. What do these do to the human body? Barium is an alkaline earth mineral. It was discovered in 1774. At low doses, it can act as a muscle stimulant. At high doses, it detrimentally affects the heart and the nervous system. Barium is toxic to all mammals, and that means not just humans. Aluminum, which is the most abundant metal in the Earth's crust, is known to diminish kidney function and destroy brain cells and cognitive function. That is not a normal cloud. Just think about it. Just between the aluminum and the mercury that we're breathing all the time, we've got already a serious issue about brain function and cognitive function. There is also documented evidence that the aluminum in chemtrails is released as nanoparticles, and that when they reach the Earth environment for wildlife, in lakes and streams, it's causing serious problems with wildlife there. Researchers are also finding that nanoparticles interfere with the growth of plants. Nanotechnology is totally unregulated. Just this past month, a new research report came out showing and documenting for the first time that these nanoparticles actually go through the skin. Well, if you breathe them, whether they go through the skin or whether you're inhaling them, it's still a problem, a serious problem.
Everything goes through our skin, people. All the chemicals you put on your body, from suntan lotion to hand sanitizer, you're absorbing all these chemicals. You're going to be very sick in the future if y'all don't stop not using all their chemicals. And the food that we are eating is not real food. Y'all need to go back to organic, real food, not fake foods. We got to start fighting back against this madness. They're destroying the kids. It only takes one generation to destroy everything that we learn as a society. They will not know. This is Hurricane Ian, and it's going to show the Nexrad radar systems steering this storm as well.
Is our weather and our climate being manipulated? Examine the data in this short report. Decide for yourself. Frequency transmission manipulation of hurricanes are patented processes. The technology is not new. The list of weather modification patents numbers into the hundreds and continues to grow. This is Hurricane Ian, passing near the Nexrad transmission facility in Key West, Florida. When the transmission facilities are fully energized, they have a repelling effect on any air mass that has been saturated with electrically conductive climate engineering elements. Patents call for such seeding into storms to be carried out from above by jet aircraft. The Nexrad transmission network then interacts with the storm air mass, determining where a storm will migrate and where it won't. As Hurricane Ian is allowed to make landfall, the frequency transmission facility in Melbourne, Florida, is fully engaged. This effectively slows Ian's migration inland. The transmissions can diminish precipitation in some regions while augmenting it in others.
It lays the predicate and the foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the world.
Weather modification, climate engineering patent holders like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin do all the weather modeling for the nation's weather forecasting personnel, the National Weather Service and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Both agencies have an illegal federal gag order on their personnel. The scheduled weather forecasting scripts are then passed all the way down to the local meteorologist level. The official narrative must be controlled. All must follow the same script. Is it any wonder that the script readers miraculously know up to a week in advance that a storm like Ian, which was completely unorganized, a
Look at the
massive
trails, guys.
convection migrating across the Atlantic, would end up where it did?
Windy.org, you can see these trails
and so many others.
when they're doing it.
The U.S. military first officially
They're in the
deployed
south part of the
hurricane
Gulf of
manipulation
Mexico, from
operations
Mexico right now.
75 years ago.
They're
Project
creating their
Cirrus.
tropical season.
Disastrous results were reported. In 1962, Project Storm Fury surfaced as a continuation of the U.S. military's hurricane manipulation efforts. During the 1960s, the U.S. military continued to expand its weather warfare efforts and knowledge in Vietnam with Project
Their information's out there, guys. You just got to look it up. It's to quit being lazy in life and think everything's fine. Nothing's fine here.
Hurricane manipulation
It is not okay what they are doing.
Illegal gag orders and paid-off politicians are utilized to keep climate intervention operations out of public consciousness. Connect the dots and decide for yourself. Share credible data from a credible source. Make every day count. Time is not on our side. This is Dane Wigington from geoengineeringwatch.org.
Nothing natural about this, guys. I'm going to show you a few seconds of the dimming here. Really important people speaking.
Perhaps the greatest lie ever perpetrated on populations all over the world is the condensation trail lie. What we're seeing in our skies is not condensation. It's sprayed particulate dispersions with very few exceptions.
They shouldn't be there. Jet engines burn clean. So if there's anything coming out of them, it's an additive.
They're absolutely not contrails. Contrails do not linger, dissipate, and go into cloud coverage, period.
Brigadier General.
And I kept saying to people, you know, what is this? Because now the sky is no longer blue, it's starting to turn gray. And what I found was it's kind of like it was not socially acceptable.
I hate being
we're all
ridiculed
gonna
by
pretend
people.
This is not really happening. And I thought, oh, this is very bad.
Most are unfamiliar with a science term called global dimming. That term refers to the amount of direct sunlight that no longer reaches the surface of the planet due to light scattering particles that are building up in the atmosphere. And although many of these
The whole time I've been growing up, they've been warning us about the greenhouse effect and how it creates heat. They pretend that volcanoes cooled the planet, but when you look back to when the major volcanic activity happened, that's when we lost the ice sheets and the Great Flood happened. We're still at the Great Flood level. The water is still up 300 or 400 feet at least from what it used to be. I fished in the canyons from when it used to be lower water. You can see the runoff. So much y'all have been lied to about our history and our planet that we live on. Period. End of freaking discussion. Well, I was going to end the video, but there's just so much great chemtrail videos.
Clearly spraying.
Does that look natural to y'all? Come on. Chemtrails. What a joke. Y'all believe everything these people in white coats tell y'all. Little men in white coats are not your buddies, trust me. Because they got DR besides their name, it doesn't mean they're a medical doctor either. I can't believe how all these people trick y'all to think they're special. They're not special at all.
Our formerly blue skies have been completely transformed into what can only be described as an unnatural and alarming mosaic of man-made cloud cover.
That's insane.
Why do so few look up? The distraction and appeal of the latest car or the newest electronic devices have kept so many from even taking notice of the skies above. Most in modern societies seem to have forgotten that we are completely dependent on nature for our very survival. Why can't our families and friends seem to see what's going on over our heads on such a constant basis? Why do so few seem to care that our once brilliant blue skies are now no more? What could be a greater purpose than to do everything in our power to preserve the natural world on which our children's future completely depends? Make your voice heard in this critical battle to sound the alarm. This is Dane Wigington with geoengineeringwatch.org.
For the people that's still with the video, which YouTube censors everything, this is a CIA officer that describes the secret agreements that these companies have to sign. They're not allowed to speak about any of these technologies.
Illegal, unconstitutional, sometimes criminal activity that the agency and some other sectors of the shadow government, I call it, were doing things that were illegal and unconstitutional. And I always have to say this: the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It supersedes every other law in the U.S. criminal justice system and the judicial branch. That's worth remembering. When the U.S. government violates the Constitution, they are committing multiple felonies based on the foundation of our government. We must always remember that. So, as a federal agent, I had to swear an oath to the Constitution to defend the Constitution and our country against enemies, foreign and domestic. The problem was there were some that were domestic, and there were some that happened to be in our own government. So I had to make a decision. Was I going to uphold my oath to the Constitution, or was I going to shrink back? And for me, it was an easy choice. I chose to stand for the Constitution, and that's why I'm here this evening. We have to. If it's because we have been so busy with our lives, just trying to survive, that they've been able to get away with doing what they've done. This is a wake-up call. This is an alert. This whole conference and the one that's subsequently going to come after this is a wake-up call. It is almost too late to stop what is now a post-constitutional government. The people are no longer ruling in our country. The government, in a tyrannical form, is now ruling the people by subversion, force, and fear. Sadly, that's what we have today. The reason I am here is the question is always asked, where are the whistleblowers? If there is a covert geoengineering program, why aren't people coming out and blowing the whistle on it if it's so dangerous? The NSA surveillance program, if it wasn't for Edward Snowden, who both the Democratic and Republican Party have come out publicly and said they want him assassinated. If it wasn't for Edward Snowden, would we know about the NSA spying program that was collecting 1.5 billion pieces of information on you and me and our telephones and our internet communications, our emails? That's what they were doing, not on terrorists, on us. And they were storing it in the Utah data center, which is still there forever. So if there's something you do later on that they're not real happy with, they've got your emails, your texts, your cell phone conversations, and everything's still stored in the database. And all that stuff, by the way, is still there on you, not on terrorists. Every single American citizen. So this is what we have here. We have a government that is functioning outside the Constitution. This is the size of the secret government. I call it the shadow government. There are some people call it the deep state. Take your pick, same thing. We've got the CIA, functions covert programs. They're probably the most out of control because their charter is so loose. The IRS has covert programs. FBI, Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, Department of State, Department of Justice, the NSA, and I have added the National Weather Service and NOAA, because as Dane, I think, told you, the National Weather Service and NOAA are now binding their employees with secrecy agreements so they cannot talk without penalty of prison about some of these climate programs that they're doing. That's called a red flag. That's what we're facing. Here is the first whistleblower, John F. Kennedy. The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. One of the greatest speeches ever given in terms of the Constitution. And there is a very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That was a prophetic message by John F. Kennedy. April 27, 1961. We all know what happened to him in 1963, don't we?
They will silence anybody that tries to help the public. That is a serious red flag. Okay, guys, this is BBC News showing a supposedly aircraft looking for a downed aircraft. But the footage is from whatever. I'm thinking the news person put this in on purpose, but it's showing an aircraft spraying, and it's not a fuel dump because that's on the tip of the plane. But I think these people were trying to show us the chemtrail planes from the British Air Force, by the way. Pretty incredible video here. Don't pay attention to the clip so much because it's not real. It's just something they borrowed. I mean, the audio doesn't matter. Search plane. They're way too high to search for a plane. That's where I'm headed with that. Check it out.
Search aircraft heading off for another day of scouring the waters of the southern Indian Ocean in the continuing effort to solve the mystery of what happened to Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. But now directed to a new
What are these guys doing?
more than
US Air
1,000
Force. Look at
kilometers
their
north
badge.
of where they've been looking for more than a week, and closer to the Australian coast.
They're too high to
The
look for a
new
plane
analysis
crash.
by investigators of the data as they seek to understand the Boeing
Look how high
777's
they are when it shows it.
height,
Look,
speed,
way above. You
usage
can
of
see.
fuel, and therefore range after it disappeared.
This process yielded new results, which indicated an MH370 flew.
Don't matter. What are these guys doing here? I know that was kind of choppy there. I didn't press the right button, but
likely height,
they're
speed,
too high to see a plane, and you can see the harp waves. Look at the harp waves. And look at the pipe coming out beside the craft. That's not a fuel dump. Fuel dumps come on the tip of the aircraft. This is a sprayer, guys. They're showing a chemtrail. Somebody at the BBC was trying to get some video out. Too high to look for a downed aircraft. Obviously, it's not part of the video.
Usage of fuel and therefore range.
But that
after it disappeared.
Somebody's showing
Yesterday,
the plane
this process
pipe.
yielded new results, which indicated
These people are all just sheep. Alright, 3 unavailable videos are hidden. I wonder what they've taken off. Sad they keep taking our videos away. When is the censorship gonna stop? Huh, guys? I mean, my goodness, the evil that is going on. Oh, here's a good thing right here, a guy left.
Most people don't get to have 30 dogs at one time.
February the
Alright guys, this is the last clip. I use high power spotlights at night to look for fish, and we see nothing but a fallout now. I don't know what they were doing in West Virginia to create this one, but it is a solid dust particles in my spotlight, somewhat like the one you see here. It is not natural. I have commercial fish my entire life.
4th, 2023. Guys, this is quite an unusual article that popped up. Started last night. It says mysterious white dust blankets parts of West Virginia, Virginia, and Maryland. And I'm going to link to the article, and there's a lot of Twitter videos here that you can come in and look for yourself. But at the top, you're looking at on the windshield the white dust, then on the hood of a car, and then someone shining a flashlight or their car light through it on the right there. And it's the meteorologists are saying that it was a dust storm. I don't think so. We've got radar images and satellite images, of the dust storm they were talking about. But this is not dust. This is a white particle. And there's reports that a small plane was coming through there and spraying this stuff out. And
here's one more from Doug and Stacy. Then I'm going to call it a day. This is a CIA person talking, I guess. I don't know, Doug will tell you what it's about. Let's check it out.
targets right there. But I wanted to follow up with the video that I just released talking about the sprays that they're putting in the air. That spray is designed to stunt the growth of your crops, okay? It's also designed to keep you lethargic, to keep your brain not functioning properly. They're putting aluminum and barium and all kinds of other chemicals in the air. I have a clip right here from the CIA director, John Brennan, and he's telling you exactly what the government is doing.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations. Others might seize on SAI's benefits and back away from their commitment to carbon dioxide reductions. And as with other breakthrough technologies, global norms and standards are lacking to guide the deployment and implementation of SAI and other geoengineering initiatives.
I mean, the cat.
Yeah, the cat's out of the bag. That's exactly right. Doug's not wrong here. The biggest lie to me that they're claiming it's going to cool the planet when it actually traps heat in. When these aircraft come by, I see our temperatures at least 5 to 8 degrees warmer than they were the previous days, and it's them trapping heat in. It's not, it's creating a greenhouse effect. It's going to be hotter than ever in the summers and crazier weather otherwise. They create it. I'm going to let it go, guys. I wish y'all would watch it. I hope people make it to the end. Let me know if y'all watch it all. We need feedback. We need to start speaking up. Do not be scared of these clowns. They're scared of us. That's why they're silencing us. Commercial Fisherman out.